Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Shotsuki service. We are remembering those family members and friends who have passed away in the month of December. Let us begin with quiet meditation. Please sit quietly and place your hands together in Gassho. Sensei will ring the bell to begin and end our meditation.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Okay, we're going to be using all three books today. Please stand for our opening gatha, and we'll be using the white book. We are going to sing Peace is a Seed on page 110. standing, we're going to use the Brown Book. Selective Sayings, page 17, number 25. The faults of others are easy to see, but our own faults are difficult to recognize. If one sees that he has a fault, he must realize that the fault must be very grave indeed for him to recognize it himself. Thus, he must take steps to correct the fault. Because it is difficult for us to see many of our faults, we should listen to the advice of others. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida. Namo
Amida Butsu.
Amida.
I will now read the names of the Shotsukihoyo honorees for this month. Those family members and friends that are observing Shotsukihoyo, please come forward for incense offering during this time. Yasuko Kameoka, Makio Kawaoka, Tachijiro Matsumoto, Sekio Matsuoka, Chiiji Oka, Sakuemon Okumura, Nao Otamura, Toshimatsu Otani, Yoshiyuki Sen, Harue Otani, Chieko Sugioka, Scott Tsuyoshi Uryu, Shizuo Ueda, Toshito Ueda, Wataru Yamakawa, Tom Yasuda, George Hiroshi Yoshioka, Paul Watani, Tom Mukaida, Vicky Mantoba Ipling, Walter Rittenauer, Eileen Hamamoto, George Kazumi Matsumoto, Sakuzo Mike Okumura, Chester Hamamoto, George Motoyuki Kikuchi, Sam Sunio Yamasaki, Sherry Yokoyama, Hitoshi Kobayashi, Norman Olson, Alice Misao Okubara, Don Morikawa, Hito Taro Seko, Makoto Ito, Jin Saburo Tsujihara, Hiroshi Taniguchi, Yoshio Yasuda, Yonezo Kikuchi, Marcel Tabata, Kei Matsuda, William Otani, and Roy Yamashita. This time we'll be using the purple book. Sensei will now offer Sambujo on page 24. This will be followed by dedication, and today's sutra will be Amida Kyo on pages 104 to 113.
Today, on the occasion of the Shotsuki service for the month of December, members of our temple families have reverently come before Amida in memory of their beloved. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. Namo kie Butsu, Namo kie Ho, Namo kie So. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
Page 103.
Yoro Shari Ho Maka Moken Den Maka Kasho Maka Kasenen Maka Kuchi Arihata Shuri Handa Gananda Ananda Ragora Dobon Hagai Binzuru Arada Karura Imaka Kohina Akura Aruruda Nose Tosho Dai Deshi Yosho Bosa Makasa Onju Shiri Hoji Aita Bosa Kenda Kagai Bosa Josho Jin Bosa Lonyo Zeto Shodai Bosa Yushaku Dai Kani To Muryo Shoten Dai Shuku Niji Butsu Go Choro Shari Ho Juze Sai Ho Aju Manoku Butsu no Usekai Nyo Atsu Kokuraku Gono Ubutsu Go Amida Kongen Zai Seppo Shari Ho Ido Gako Nyoi Gokuraku Goku Shujo Shuku Tanju Shoraku Kobyo Gokuraku Ushari Ho Gokura Gokudo Shikiju Ranju Shikiju Ranmo Shikiju Goju Kaize Shiho Shusho Inyo Teko Ikoku no Watsu Gokuraku Ushari Ho Gokura Gokudo Ushi Pochi Haku Rokusui Juman Gochu Kitai Junni Kosha Fuji Shien Kaido Kongo Ruri Hari Gojo Jo Uro Kaku Yakui Kongo Ruri Hari Shaku Shaku Shume no Nigon Jikishi Chichu Renge Dainyo Shari Shoshiki Shoko Oshiki Oko Shakushiki Shako Byakushiki Byako Minyoko Ketsu Shari Ho Gokura Gokudo Nyoju Nyoze Kuroku Shogon Ushari Ho Ibu Gokudo Yosa Kengaku Ogon Niji Chuya Rokuji Niyu Mandara Ke Gokoku Shujo Joi Shotan Gakuri Ekoku Joshu Nyoke Kuyo Taho Juman Noku Butsu Sokui Jikiji Gento Hondoku Gon Jiki Kyokyo Shari Ho Kokura Kokudo Joju Nyoze Kudoku Shogon Mushi Shari Ho Ikoku Jo Shuju Kimyo Zashiki Shikcho Yakko Duchaku Omu Shari Karyo Binga Gumyo Shicho Zensho Shucho Choya Rokuji Suiwa Kenon Gohon Encho Goko Goriki Shibo Daimun Asho Lobun Yose Toho Ono Shujo Monze Onni Kai Shitsunen Mutsunen Ponen So Shari Ho Nyo Matsui Shicho Shituze Sai Kosho Shosho Ishaga Ibu Kokudo Musa Makushu Shari Ho Kobu Kokudo Sobu San Makudo Shimyo Kakyo Ujitsu Seisho Shusho Kaize Amida Butsu Yokuyo Omon Senru Enge Shosa Shari Ho Ibu Kokudo Mifu Suido ど小国語順流法らも水行二行百千十学同時空差門税恩赦開示年上念仏年法年相死心大王オー国土上重量税無力小言
We will now have a Dharma message by Reverend Dennis Fujimoto.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here again. Nice to see everyone. It's always special to be here for the Shotsuki service and see all the family representatives come up and to honor those that they have lost in their families. And it's a special part of our Shin Buddhist tradition, and I appreciate the families making the effort and the time to be here to participate. In Alameda, we have the last Sunday of each month, we have a question and answer kind of thing called Ask Reverend Dennis. And so this was last week, right? And so over there, we were talking briefly about some of the phrases that we hear now and then at our temples, and some of them you're probably familiar with, Ondo Bo, Ondo Hyo. And this is kind of, we are all fellow travelers along the path, the Nembutsu path in our Shin Buddhist tradition. Neither monk nor lay is something that Shindan Shoni, our founder, said, and in reference to him being sent to Echigo province and stripped of his Buddhist name and title. So he was no longer a monk and not really a lay person either. But it also makes reference to our Sangha, where there's no real distinction. Whether you're a lay person or minister, we're just all fellow travelers along the Nembutsu path. Okay? Come as you are is another phrase that we hear often. And so just kind of a warmth, a welcoming. Everyone is welcome. Just come as you are. You don't have to prepare to become a Shin Buddhist. You don't have to do anything or follow precepts or improve yourself to qualify or something. No matter what your station, no matter what your race, color, whatever, sexual orientation, whatever, just come as you are and and everyone is welcome. And finally, another one, out of the mud grows the lotus, is a common phrase that we hear in reference to the lotus flower, in the muckiest pond, rooted in this mud and muck at the bottom of the pond, and this beautiful, pure white flower comes to the surface. Right? And speaking to our potential to reach an awakening, we don't remove ourselves from the mud and the muck, but we're rooted in it. Even when we become awakened, we're still rooted in this muck, right? And so this is kind of an awareness of this awakening process, that both aspects of this reality, not only muck, not only an enlightened being, but they're connected, always connected. So another phrase we might hear on occasion at the temple, and I wanted to talk about this today, is Sesshu Fusha. Okay? Sesshu Fusha. And this can be translated as to be grasped or embraced and never abandoned. Okay? And kind of the sense that, again, everyone is welcome, no matter what kind of passions or thoughts you might have, that you are always welcome and embraced and grasped, and you will not be let go of. Okay? So this kind of a warmth and a welcoming of this Shin Buddhist tradition. So Shindan uses this, Sesshu Fusha, and it can be found in the Meditation Sutra. Okay? So again, to be embraced, never to be abandoned, and it could also mean everyone is taken in and no one is left behind. Okay? And it can mean that even someone who resists and runs away will still be embraced. And we have people of different awareness or understanding of our teachings. Or maybe I don't know everything, but I appreciate the temple, and so even though you're not really well versed, you'll still be embraced and not abandoned. Maybe you don't want to come to the temple, or maybe you never heard of Buddhism, but eventually you will become embraced and not abandoned. Okay? So no matter what you might think, what do you hear often these days? I'm spiritual but not religious. And so these people don't want to commit to an organized religion or going to the temple or becoming a member, but they feel something, that they have this spiritual part of their lives. Okay? So all these different levels of awareness and understanding that we have, and that no matter what level, we're embraced and not to be abandoned. So another phrase that similar, the light emanating from Amida's features illuminates all the worlds in the 10 quarters, takes in all beings, and never abandons them. Okay? So this is a similar phrase. Okay? So I would like to start this talk. Please join me in Gassho, and I'll read this Wasan poem written by Shindan Shorin. The person burdened with extreme karma should simply say the name. Although I too am within Amida's grasp, passions obstruct my eyes, and I cannot see the light. Nevertheless, great compassion is untiring and illumines me always. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So in this poem, Shindan is saying, passions obstruct my eyes, and I cannot see the light. So I have passions, are greed, anger, and ignorance that continuously bubbles up. The muck where the lotus comes from, this is our passions. Okay? And because of that, our eyes are obstructed and we can't see the light of the teachings, the light of Amida. Okay? So when I read something like this type of wasan, seems like it could be interpreted as, it sounds like Amida as a deity or a god looking down to protect us and showing us the way. We are the person burdened with extreme karma and passions. And if we say the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, then Amida will look out for us. Kind of sounds like that. And many people might take it that way. But I think we can demystify the words. I think we can form a picture in our own minds where Amida is not a godlike thing that saves us. Okay? So that type of image has a separation of Amida saving and me being saved. Right? And at the same time, Buddhism is telling us that we create this type of situation, this duality, when in actuality, everything is one. Okay? We make things dual by our perspective, by our karma, and we stand separate from something else, something other. Okay? So I have some examples of this, okay? And maybe you might recognize something that you have seen in your life. That many or most of us have gotten on an airplane on a cloudy or even a rainy day. When we get on the plane, maybe our coat's wet, and shaking off our umbrella, and we all pile into the plane and waiting our turn to take off. And finally, the plane leaves and lifts up above the clouds. And when we get above the clouds, it looks like a beautiful day. There's the sun. The sun is shining and lighting up the clouds beneath the plane, right? How many of us have seen that before in a plane riding, right? There's a few people, sure. It's very common. So you get up on the plane, rise above the rainy clouds, and it looks like beautiful blue sky. So, wow, what happened? What happened? And it's natural, right? We just went above the clouds. The clouds were blocking our view of the sun. So it all makes sense, but it's like a whole new world when we see it. A whole completely different perspective. So in actuality, the sun was always shining, just as usual, but the clouds were blocking the rays and the warmth of the sun. We could only see a cloudy or a rainy day because the clouds were above us and blocking the sun. So in this analogy, the clouds are from the workings of our minds. We don't notice the sun, Amida, bringing light upon our lives because we are preoccupied with our own thoughts, goals, desires, calculations, priorities, attachments, connections, and countless combinations of any of these. So these are the clouds that we bring into our lives. All of these are expressions and iterations of our ego-centeredness. So if we can get beyond our ego-centered perspective, the sun is always shining. And this is Sesshu Fusha. Okay. So another example. Example number 2. Okay. 2 Shotsuki services ago was October 1st. And at the end of that Sunday, the next day, Charmin and I had gotten COVID. We don't know where we got it, but all of a sudden we were sick and tested and we're both positive for COVID. So, brother. And so we had to go through all the protocols and things. And many of us have heard that when you, not everyone, but many people, when you get COVID, you lose your sense of taste. And so some people don't experience it. So Charmin had got this, had lost her sense of taste. I didn't. So everything, at first I just was sick, so it tasted a little bit different, but it went away and I could taste anything. So Charmin had it really bad. She couldn't smell anything. She couldn't taste anything. And so anytime she would eat something, it's more for texture than enjoying it, right? So it was not a good thing for her. Okay? It was good for me because I got to eat all her leftovers. She didn't care to eat. So this is COVID taste. But about that time, we would be talking to each other and I couldn't hear her. She couldn't hear me. It seemed like we were having hearing problems. So have you heard of anything like COVID ears? COVID hearing? I don't think so. But we thought maybe this is so she would say something, she'll be in the kitchen and I finally sit down in the living room trying to watch TV and she'll ask me a question. What? And back and forth, right? I don't know what you said. What? And so go back there and kind of speaking loudly, like you're talking to your mother who didn't put on her hearing aids, right? So we're yelling at each other and it sounds like we're fighting, but not really fighting, right? Sometimes we're fighting. But kind of like this, right? I have to get up and go all the way over there. What did you say? I was asking if you want some toast or something nice, right? She'll ask me something nice, fixing something for me. Oh, okay, thanks. And, benefiting me. So nice things are happening, but we can't hear each other. And so quite often from the kitchen to the living room, I can't hear you. What? Can you say that again? And back and forth and back and forth. But not only at that kind of distance, it seems like even when we're driving together, right? Driver, passenger. Can you speak a little louder? What? And this communication, lack of communication is going on. So we had COVID ears, right? So nice things, food, plans, but still we're talking loudly. So I thought maybe this is another good example of actually good things are happening, but we are blocking these benefits because we put up these barriers. We have these barriers. So third example, maybe many of us have seen, or some of us have grandchildren. And so it's very nice to see them when they're very young infants, baby sitting in the mother's lap. So the baby might be playing with something and all of a sudden falls back in the mother's lap, right? And just comfortable and resting for a brief moment. Maybe the mother pat the baby reassuringly. After a little while, baby sits back up and starts playing again. Okay? Maybe after a little while, right? And so the baby's very comfortable, and I think this is Sesshu Fusha. Okay? No calculating thoughts, no doubts. The baby just falls back to knowing the mother's right there catching. And probably the mother knows this too. It's this awareness of each other that they share. Right? So I think this is Sesshu Fusha. So no calculating thoughts, no doubts. And I think it's a type of faith that is closer to awareness or connection than a belief, right? It's not like the baby's thinking, well, I know mom's right behind me, and even if I fall back, she'll catch me for sure, and then fall. No, baby knows, mother's right there. Mother knows, baby's right there. And so they have this shared awareness of each other. I think this is the Shu Fusha, and when we recognize it, this shared awareness, myself, Amida. Okay? So, final example. When I was in college, we had some friends, and separately, we would be runners. We enjoy going out for a run and stuff. We didn't do it together, but we talked about it, and one of my friends said, I think we should be able to be fit enough to run 10 miles anytime, any day. So yeah, that's about right. And so I think still today I could do that. Just change shoes, shorts, go on, take off and run, come back, and think not much of it. Right? So this is kind of the early days of running, and I used to do this very regularly, running, and that was part of my identity to be kind of. I was the running sensei when I first started as a minister. And so I developed the dragon run. Okay? I'm born on the year of the dragon, right? So every year of the dragon, I I would do this long run, and it became a marathon or longer every year of the dragon. So next year is the year of the dragon, right? So I'm getting ready. I'm going to run this marathon. So this is my training that I'm doing, okay? And in Alameda, a mile from the temple, is the Alameda beach. So I go down there maybe 4 days a week, and I do my running. And these days, it's kind of cold, right? So first thing in the morning, it's like 5 in the morning, and it's dark, and nobody can see. And I don't like to wear sweats, because if you wear sweats, you're warm for a mile, and then you have to carry everything for the next 7 miles, or whatever you're doing. So I just go with a t-shirt and shorts, gloves, and I take off 5 in the morning, and people are looking at me like, look at that idiot. He's running around in shorts and shoes. So anyway, I would go out there, and as I'm running, I think I have these 2 minds going on, kind of like when we chant, right? One mind is following the words of the chanting along, and another part of our mind is saying, boy, this sure is a long one, or gee, I'm getting hungry now, I wonder what I should have for lunch. And so that's voice and the chanting voice. So I have these 2 minds going on while I'm going running. This calculating mind, I'm counting my strides and my breath, thinking about, maybe I'm doing intervals that day, so I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. And then there's another mind of embraced awareness, okay? And I think an exchange of breathing, effort out, energy in with each breath, more of a meditation going on. And I hear the water lapping on the shore, okay? Running along the side of the bay, water lapping. Sometimes it's very gently, sometimes it's crashing in. And every day it's a little bit different. Maybe the water is high, so it's only like 1 car width to the wall. And we have this, sometimes it's all the way up to the wall. I have to climb up the wall so I don't get wet. Or sometimes the water's real low, and it looks like 5 or 6 lanes of a highway, like an airport runway, that much room that we have. And so the footing is different every time. Sometimes it's firm. Sometimes you're running through very heavy sand, okay? And this is all part of the training to work your stabilizing muscles or whatever you have, okay? And so I'm enjoying this part of it too that's going on. I see shoreline birds. They're running alongside me, trying to stay a little bit ahead. I start catching them, and they get scared and fly off. Other birds, ducks and geese, are grazing whatever's left on the beach. And sometimes there's seagulls, crows, cleanup duties, what they do, right? They're pecking and cleaning up. Sometimes it's dead fish that washed up on the shore, and the gulls are taking turns. The biggest one gets first choice and starts pecking it away, and finally it's gone eventually, right? Or maybe there's a leftover McDonald's hamburger, so they open the package and they pick that up and they take it away, eat it up, okay? And all of these birds are sitting there doing what they do, and they're telling me, I live here too. I live here too. So they're pulling me out of my head and into their world. Sometimes pelicans, and they remind me of the prehistoric past. They look like pterodactyls. Sometimes 12 of them flying in a V. Sometimes 20. One day I saw, it was like 100. Then another 100. And another 100. Wow. It's incredible. You're not really thinking about your own thoughts. We're just looking at this natural scene that's going on, right? So they're telling me too. I live here too. It's not only your world, little man. So they're talking to me, telling me that we share this space. And through this morning run, I'm pulled out of my calculated clutter of my own mind into this world beyond myself. Okay? And I think we all do this. Some of us like to go bird watching, and the same thing happens. We have one member that goes a couple times a year to Yosemite, right? She likes to hike and camp out for a night and then come back to the city. But I think when we do things like that, when we like to go camping and we know that this kind of scene occurs and we look forward to it. We don't call it Sesshu Fusha, but we know we're getting out of the city, we're less tied up in our own calculations, and we open ourselves to beyond ourselves. And we each do these types of things, maybe by playing golf, maybe by raising vegetables, maybe working in the garden, artwork. All these things pull us outside, beyond our calculating, ego-centered head. So Sesshu Fusha reminds us to recognize this pull as a natural life process, moving towards awakening. So Amida is not a god working behind the scenes. Amida is the sound of the water lapping on the shore, the geese leading their family from the park to the water. They're pulling me out of my self-centered head. Whether it's all these things, running, fishing, golf, art, gardening, hiking, whatever we do to connect to all that is beyond ourselves is part of our journey to awaken, part of the call of Amida, awakening us. This is Sesshu Fusha. Please join me in Gassho, and I'll read this Wasan poem again. The person burdened with extreme karma should simply say the name, although I too am within Amida's grasp. Passions obstruct my eyes, and I cannot see the light. Nevertheless, great compassion is untiring and illumines me always. Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei, for your very insightful message. Please stand for closing Ganga, which is in the brown book, Nori no Miyama on page 139. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo
Namo
Amida.
Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida.
I was asked to make an announcement. December 8th is the deadline for the Sangha readings, the little readings they have in our Sangha newsletter. And so Lauren is here today, so if you want to just hand it to him, you can do that, or mail it in, or email it. There's some forms in the back on that table, so you can fill those out if you want. I think the cost is $5. Also, we have a guest today. We have a visitor, Samuel Robinson. He's visiting. He wanted to see what it was like at our temple, so welcome today, Samuel. Are there any other announcements? Mike and Kent.
Good afternoon. So you may not have realized this, but this month completes a year-long experiment where we sang a different English gatha every Shotsuki, compared to previous years where obviously we continually sang Namo Amida for Shotsuki services. So as you may not have realized, this completes our experiment for this year, and we're going to continue with this from now on so that we're not singing Namo Amida every Shotsuki. So we have lots of new gathas inside the white book, and you will hear more of them over the course of the next few months. So thank you very much for your participation, even though you didn't realize it.
Get through this. Since we haven't had the opportunity to have a full-blown teriyaki, we do have a lot of the handicrafts items available. So there's a little pop-up table, actually a few pop-up tables in the hall. So after the service, feel free to browse and select something if you see something you like. We got a few things. There's some cards and some other. I know that there's some Afghans over there and some aprons and such. So feel free to browse and buy something. All right. Thanks.
This is to go along with Kent. I'd like to, on behalf of everybody here, thank him for having Gotha practice the first and second Sundays that we've had service. I know there haven't been a lot of people, but we appreciate his helping us learn the new songs. If there are no other announcements, this will conclude today's service. I'd like to thank Reverend Fujimoto for his Dharma talk and for officiating today. Daryl Yagi for the kansho and the setup of the altar. The December Toban for the flowers and the offerings. And Dr. Kent Matsuda for playing the organ. Refreshments will be served in the hall today until 4 o'clock. Have a nice day, everybody.